Alrighty, so today we'll be looking at sections 7, 5, solving equations with variables on both sides. And when we say both sides, we mean both sides of the equal sign, as will be clearly seen in our first example. So this is actually not very complicated, it just adds one more step to our problems. Let us begin. Alright, so the key to solving these problems is quite simple. We want the variable to be on one side. And the reason for that is because we want the variable to equal a number. We want the variable by itself to equal some number. It's almost like you're defining what x is, like you're giving a definition. X is this thing, okay? That's what an equation is. And if you've ever had to define a word, you know that you can't use that word in its definition. Like, you know, if you just define, what does it mean to be brave? Well, it means that you have bravery. Well, you just used a form of that word. You can't do that in its definition. You have to use different words in order to describe it. So you can't have x is equal to something x. So we've got to get the x to one side of the equation. Thankfully, this is real easy to do. So let's look at this first example right here. What we need to do is get rid of, in a sense, one of these x's. And what I have found through all my vast years of knowledge and studying is that if you get rid of the smaller x variable first, it will help. Because basically I think of it like this. What can I do to get rid of it? And can I get rid of it in such a way that I don't have negatives? Like if I tried to get rid of this 4, I'd have to minus 4x from both sides, and that would leave me with a negative 2x over here. I don't want a negative 2x if I can avoid it. So instead I'm going to subtract my 2x over here. So I'm going to subtract 2x, and yes, you're allowed to subtract variables like this. Subtract 2x. Well, that's going to leave me with 2x. Where'd that 2x come from? 4x minus 2x is 2x, okay? Like 4 minus 2, 2, okay? Simple. Plus 4 equals, now remember, this is canceled out because we have subtracted it, plus 36, okay? So actually a fairly simple problem. We now would need to subtract 4. Subtract 4. You end up with 2x equals, and this would be 32. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and you end up with the wonderful x equals 16. So not a very difficult problem to solve. Not very difficult at all when you get right down to it. All right, so let's move on to the next problem. Once again, we have a number touching a parenthesis like a lot of the examples we've done from previous videos. So what do you do here? Think. What do you do when a number touches a parenthesis? That's right! You distribute. Congratulations. You feel like you're part of Dora the Explorer now, don't you? All right, so we distribute and fix those ugly-looking arrows. And you end up with 32 minus 4y equals 2y plus 16. Now again, I don't know what you would prefer to do. Now we got two options. We got to get the variable to one side, so I could add 4y to both sides, or I could subtract 2y from both sides. Either way, it's going to get rid of 1 and move it up to the other side. One, though, is going to give me a negative, one gives me a positive. So I prefer to keep a positive attitude about things, so I'm going to go ahead and just add 4y to both sides. So I end up with my 32 equals, because this is now gone, 6y plus 16. Okay? So now we need to subtract our 16 from both sides. Subtract our 16 from both sides. And this would give us 16 is equal to 6y. So we would divide by 6, and you would end up with y is equal to, I went ahead and flipped it, putting my y on this side now. And 16 divided by 6 would give us 2 with a remainder of 4 over 6, which would reduce to 2 and 2/3. So there you go. There you have that answer right there. Okay. Next, we have this problem right here. Once again, we have distributing. We have a fraction we have to distribute, so be careful not to make a mistake. So once you distribute this, you would end up with 2d, because 1/2 times 4 is 2, minus 1, because 1/2 times 2 is 1, equals d plus 5. Now I can minus 2d to get rid of this one, or I can minus 1d. Which one's going to leave me with a positive? If I subtract this, so I subtract d, I subtract d. Now this is important because we've gone over these problems already, but a lot of students make this mistake every time. Remember, we've already done stuff like this. Not with equations, but we've done stuff where we've had to have 2d minus d before. You've done that before, believe it or not. Okay, we had a whole chapter on stuff like that. We solve problems like that. You're like, we did? Yeah, we did. Okay. Please do not make the mistake of getting 2. Because people think, oh, I got a D, just get rid of the D's. No, this is, I have 2 D's minus D. I don't just take away the D. I have 2 D's. 2 D's are right here. There's 2 of them. Minus 1 D. So what am I left with? I'm left with just 1 D, which we write down as D. We don't bother putting the 1 in front. Minus 1 equals 5. Now we get rid of that number 1, and we just add it. 1. So we add 1. We end up with D is equal to 6. Oh my goodness, that was so complicated. Wait, no, it wasn't. So there you go. We have now solved 3 different equations with variables on both sides. I hope that was exciting. It was for me. I just love it. Anyways, well, look over these problems carefully, and if you want, maybe make up a problem yourself and try to solve it. It'd be always good to do that. Remember, these are equations, so just like any equation, you're allowed to take the answer and plug it back in and solve. Even though there's 2 variables, you would just plug it in for both. So you would take the 6 and put it in place of the D, make sure you use parentheses around it, and just do the math. And if you get the same answer on both sides, then that's the right answer, okay? So long as you do the math correctly, it works out right, okay? So, exciting. Now we just stare at the screen blankly because I got nothing else. You guys can just go anytime you want. Just go. I'm just going to sit here and just wait till you leave. Turn the video off. Don't wait till the end. Go ahead and stop it now. Why are you waiting? Seriously. How long are you going to sit here? I'm really not showing you any more examples. I'm done. You can sit here and waste your time waiting. Oh, you think you're going to wait till the barge because it's got a few more seconds. You're going to think, oh, there's a surprise at the end or something. No, there's not. Well, there is. Here. You want a surprise? Here. There's a smiley face. There's your surprise. Woohoo! Surprise. All right, seriously. Turn it off. Go away. Leave me alone. Shoo-shoo. Bye-bye.